Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is See Through. It is a podcast with me, Achita Gopi, and it is a place where we can all come to gain some support, gain some spiritual wisdom, gain some valuable insight, and try and get a chance to figure out how spiritual life is impacting us and how these shastric or spiritual texts will also be affecting us. So, welcome. I know that we'll have a lot of our regulars. We have a Zoom room where those of you who are patrons and or subscribers have access to that Zoom room. And then we have our live on YouTube, which you might have to refresh just a couple of 3 times. So that's what I had to do. But welcome. So good to see you. This is going to be a very exciting day because Sri Krishna Janmashtami is coming. We had been reading Krishna book and we will be returning to Krishna book eventually. We've taken a little bit of a side road through some of these pastimes for the past 3 or 4 weeks. And I really kind of like doing that. It's like if you've ever gone on pilgrimage and you've circumambulated a city like Vrindavan, little village like Vrindavan, or you have circumambulated Govardhan Hill, sometimes you take a little off-road. You go and you sit in some of the hidden temples, some of the temples that are just on the side alleys. And so that's kind of what we've done to kind of revel in the sweetness of some of these pastimes. We've taken a little side road. We have gone through a little bit of a detour. And detours in spiritual life are always a wonderful thing. There's more, ever more sweetness to be had on any and all of these detours. So we will be going back to Krishna book. But the appearance day of Sri Krishna is coming. So depending upon where you are in the world, either the 6th or the 7th, you'll be celebrating. Neither day is incorrect. Simply depends on how the stars and the moon are moving through your area, which determines exactly when you celebrate the day. So all that to be said, at some point later in this week, all of us will be celebrating. Hopefully, you'll be able to have a nice community of people to celebrate with. Or I was kind of reflecting on what if, like during the pandemic, many of us had to celebrate these festivals at home. What does that look like? And it was still so beautiful. It was still a celebration. It was still a noteworthy day. It kind of brought an in-home sweetness to some of my own festivals with my family. So I remember one year when we were celebrating Janmashtami during the pandemic at home in New York, all of a sudden there was a huge thunderstorm. Huge. And it kind of came out of nowhere. And so one minute everything was fine. And I have a Bal Gopal who is quite big. He's a big brass deity, but he's painted. And he's maybe about a little over 12 inches tall. So that's just how tall he is. It doesn't express quite how wide he is. He really is like a little newborn baby, but heavier than that because he's brass. And I was carrying him across the street to my sister's house because I'm that attached and clingy with my family members that I live across the street from my sister. And I was carrying him to my sister's house where we were all going to celebrate Janmashtami together. And the minute I walked outside of my house, it started raining. There were no clouds before. The sun was shining kind of like it is now. I stepped outside, all of a sudden, rain. I was like, what is happening? And all I could think was, I was like, are you trying to make it like your actual day of birth? and we'll speak about what that looked like. But I was like, are you trying to do this? What is happening? And we brought him across the street, and everything went on really well. And I remember either it was that Janmashtami or it was a Govardhan Puja. But I do remember one of those festivals, the scenery was apt, because when I left, and I think it was Janmashtami because I left really late, the rain had gotten harder, so hard that we live at the top of like a hill. And so the water is flowing downhill, but it had flooded. And so now the water was up to my knees. And I'm trying to carry this big brass deity back across the street, thinking, really? What is happening? It was very incredible. And so that was one of the Janmashtamis that I did not spend in a temple. And I spent it at home, but it was still so memorable because of all of the scenery, because of the atmosphere. And I could only imagine Vasudev carrying this little child, trying to carry him across a Jamuna river, and we'll get to that. And all he can do is kind of put this child up high because this water is everywhere. It's definitely a very incredibly austere situation. And the water was not up to my chest or my neck or any of these things. It was just up to my knees. And I was still kind of wondering, like, how is anybody supposed to do this? But Vasudev had such incredible faith. Um, the story of Sri Krishna's appearance is definitely a story that involves a lot of faith. It involves a lot of trust in divinity. So we'll talk about some of that. We'll talk about the mysteries, and we'll see what we all learn from it. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I kind of wanted to touch on many things concerning the beautiful advent of Lord Shri Krishna. One of them is the idea of silence. We hear that Shri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of all secret things I am silence. And for a long time, that kind of eluded me. I was always missing that point. What do you mean of all secret things you are silence? Because normally if we are calling out to Krishna or we're praying for something and we don't hear anything back, we are really quick to judge God. I mean, clearly, God has not responded because he hates me. So clear. And we can it's a testament to also how we treat each other. How many times have we written something to someone and then we've waited on a reply and then just assumed, yeah, they hate me, clearly. And I can't believe that they would be so hard-hearted and cruel and horrible. It's a mean human being to not respond when I've written them with like my deep emotions and all of my requests. I was really needing help and they didn't write me back. I can't believe that. I kind of get a lot of messages like that. A lot of messages like, I wrote you and you didn't write me back. Can't believe you. How cruel are you? You're horrible. And for us jivas, these living entities, one, of course, we deserve to give each other grace. We need to give each other grace. Because just as someone else is writing because they're going through a rough time, what if the person you're writing to is also going through a rough time? Also, they're not under any obligation to tell you about their rough time. Like, we have to get out of the mindset like, well, they didn't explain it to me, so why should I even care? No one's under any obligation to tell you about their rough time, but maybe we can preemptively give the grace that maybe they're going through something. Devaki and Vasudev were definitely going through a lot of things. Devaki and Vasudev, the mother and father of Shri Krishna, were in a prison cell. Complete lockdown. Not only were they imprisoned, of course, by Devaki's brother, Kamsa, but they were then, of course, once you're in prison, it's not as though they'll just leave you alone. So I am sure they were tormented. And just being in that kind of environment does something to the mind and the psyche. I can't even imagine what they were going through. The various demigods were also going through a lot. They had been dealing with Kamsa, this scourge of the earth, mean-hearted, hard-hearted demon. A demon the likes of which we can't even imagine. We complain about our politicians and our presidents, but none of them were as bad as Kamsa. And so the demigods all journey to the ocean of milk to pray to Lord Vishnu to please make his appearance. And all of the demigods are praying, and they hear nothing. If we were praying and we heard nothing, we would think the Lord had abandoned us. We would be really quick to give up. The demigods don't give up because they don't have that option. If they try to give up, they had tried to subdue Kamsa on their own, and it was not working. So sometimes when we are in the midst of our problems, we have to remember, yeah, I tried to handle it my way. It was not working. I came to my Supreme Lord, my supreme, dearest, best friend, for a reason. And I want to remember that. I want to remember that I can't take any other way out. I don't have any other way out. And they patiently waited for the Lord to answer their call. And even then, the Lord didn't give the message to them. The message was transmitted to Lord Brahma, and then Lord Brahma told all of them, and they had enough faith in Lord Brahma that they could rest assured that his words would hold true. Is there anyone that we have that much faith in? It's a really good question, because sometimes we think, oh yeah. Like if my mother were to say it, I would believe her. And if a parent were to say it, I would believe them. Or if I had a trusted friend or a spiritual advisor, I would totally believe them. But do we? Do we actually really believe them? Because the Devatas believed Lord Brahma so much that they acted on what he told them. With faith, he said, Shri Krishna desires that all of you should expand and also assist him in this pastime. And then they immediately went to work, making preparations, praying, offering beautiful prayers to the Supreme Lord. So do we have anyone that we believe enough? Because perhaps if we did, we might act on that belief. Understanding that, okay, my spiritual advisor, mother, father, whoever it is has said, God will hear my prayers, and he absolutely will answer them. Even if we think we have no one, Srila Prabhupada had enough faith that he acted on the order of Shri Krishna, journeying across seas, 40 days on a cargo ship, seasickness, heart attacks, health problems, just begging the Lord for more time so that he could act on the promise of his own spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada didn't need more time to perfect his spiritual life. He was not begging to prolong his life so that he could do something because he was not sure of his spiritual destination. He was assured. He was begging for more time so that he could remind all of us about Krishna's mercy. That is kindness that I can't fathom. Our spiritual masters, these wonderful prophets, these incredible spiritual personalities, they beg for more time, not for themselves, but for us. So when our spiritual advisors say, God hears you, God will never allow you to be vanquished. God will preserve what you have, carry what you lack, fortify you for all of your days. We should believe them, even just on the strength of their sacrifice. We can have faith in their words. We can have faith in what they say. And the symptom of having that faith is that we then act on it. If we have faith in what Srila Prabhupada has done, if we are believing, then we act on it. And we don't have to go full throttle, we can act on it in increments, but we should act on it a little bit every day. And we remember and honor the sacrifice of these great souls every day by acting on it. And so the demigods were comforted by the promise of Sri Krishna. Don't worry, I will make my appearance. I will subdue this demon. All of you should assist me in this mission. That is some incredible faith, because they never heard the Lord personally. Just as sometimes we're thinking, well, I never heard the Lord personally. I didn't know he was acting in my life personally. But we did have someone to come and tell us, promise us, remind us again and again and again. Krishna is your friend. Krishna is acting in your life. Yes, Krishna is ready to speak with you. You specifically. All we have to do is make ourselves ready to hear Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said so many times, and Gaur Govinda Maharaj, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, have said so many times, Krishna is running after you, simply trying to get us to remember him. Can we have that kind of faith? Can we have that kind of faith when we pray and are met with silence? Can we trust our spiritual masters when they tell us, no, it was not silence. Krishna was answering your prayers. Simply, we couldn't hear him, but I heard him, and I'm telling you, he's answering your prayers. Can we have faith when it requires patience? Vasudeva and Devaki were awaiting Krishna as the 8th son of theirs, which means they had to wait through 6.5 other pregnancies. I say 6.5 because Balaram made a very quick exit from Devaki's womb and was transferred into Rohini's womb. And we just celebrated his appearance day. Shri Baladev ki jai. So we just celebrated Baladev's appearance day. And so he made kind of a quick exit. And it looked as though Devaki had a miscarriage. But really, the child was transferred to the womb of Rohini. So 6.5 other pregnancies. Full term. Almost a year then. So they're waiting years for their miracle. Sometimes we'll go and get an astrological reading, right? And the astrologer will say, oh, you're going through kind of an awkward phase right now, but it will lighten up. And then we always want to know, well, when? When is it going to get better? And if the astrologer says, oh, don't worry, it'll get better in like 8 years, Can we have faith through that? Are we feeling okay with that? Are we the ones who can say, fine, I accept? If that means that I get the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I accept. Devaki and Vasudev willingly accepted this. Now, not only did they have to be patient, but they were patient through the worst circumstances. They were not comfortable. At least materially speaking, they did not look comfortable. And they were placed in such an uncomfortable situation. Would our faith be able to last through years of discomfort? We went through a pandemic for what, 2, 3 years, something. Right now, we're all so traumatized. It's the lost years. Nobody can really remember how long it was. Everybody's like, I don't want to talk about it. We don't even want to go back there. At the end of just 2, 3 years, everybody was like, I need to get out of here. I can't believe this is completely inhumane. Why is everybody telling me to stay inside? I can't do this anymore. They should make laws against the government being able to tell us this. The government's like, well, we're trying to keep you safe. No, you can't be trying to keep me safe. It's all a lie. Our minds got the better of us that fast. That quickly. Devaki and Vasudev, years in real lockdown. Not our Kali Yuga minimized version of what we went through. And if we think, well, so many people around us were dying. Yeah, Kamsa was killing a lot of people. Just on a whim because he felt like it that day. They were imprisoned in conditions that I'm sure we would be complaining about. This is inhumane. I can't believe you're doing this. All this. And then, as if that wasn't enough for Devaki and Vasudev to have faith through the silence, through the discomfort of being imprisoned for years, fortified with that faith. Then, on top of that, let's heap the trauma of losing child after child. Would any of us be able to hold our spirit? We would be completely broken. And understandably so. The parents of Sri Krishna went through things that would break any other person. It would shatter their faith. We would be complete atheists. There would be no one to tell us, but wait, God actually loves you. Are you serious? Seriously? You want me to believe that God loves me? Imprisoned for years with a demoniac brother who is on a killing spree rampage, a literal demon. And then not only did they lose the children, but they lost them in the most horrific way. Killed in front of their eyes. You go through the discomfort of childbirth and all of these things, and it's ghastly. These are conditions that would have broken anybody else's spirit. And this is the mother and the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's Krishna's very own people. So you think, why? Why would God do this? Why would God do this to his own people? Why would God just not make everything just easy? Well, it's the material world. You know, it's a very poignant lesson. Who is this easy for? Absolutely no one has it easy. Not even the parents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of allowing our minds and our hearts to relate in some small way to Krishna's people and understand, you know what? This is a symptom of the material world, you're right. This material world is characterized by the qualities of discomfort, pain, trauma, loss, grief, we start to say, God should have just made it easy. How many times do we have to see, no one has it easy? That's why we don't belong here. How many times do we have to see, no one is having a good time? Especially not God's own people. And yet he still saves them. And still, he lets us know that he's on our side at all times. But this is not the place for us. Krishna is constantly showing us, come home. Come home. Do you want this? Like it's like the minute even my people enter into this situation, the minute even God enters into the situation. Sri Ram his life was filled with hardship. Shri Krishna did not have it easy. He makes it look easy, because he's God. But it wasn't an easy circumstance. Like, imagine you're 3 days old, there's a baby, somebody comes to kill him. 3 months old, somebody comes to kill this child. Every other day, somebody's coming to kill this child. He makes it look easy. But we'd be terrified. If your 3-year-old child was playing in your backyard and they go and they pull down 2 trees, you'd be baffled. But we sing songs about it and we praise it as the cutest thing anybody's ever done, yeah? We sing a whole Damodarashtakam, we talk about it every year, but we've romanticized what's really happening. If you had a 3-year-old and they were playing in the backyard or front yard or wherever near your home and 2 trees fell down, we would be hysterical. A sandstorm, a dust storm comes, a tornado comes, and your child's gone. These are terrifying circumstances. And yet we've spoken about all of them with Shri Krishna. So Shri Krishna doesn't have it easy. Like I said, he makes it look easy, but it's not easy. He's 7 years old and a hurricane comes that has a mind of its own, literally, and wants to wipe his village off the face of the earth. A storm so big that he has to lift a mountain to protect his people. Now sometimes, we can focus on God can lift mountains with a little pinky of his left hand. But also, let's focus on the fact that there was a storm that necessitated him to lift a mountain. It's not easy for him. It's not easy for the heart to even understand. And so we think when we go through things in life, why would God put me through trial after trial after trial? Doesn't he know that my heart and my spirit can only take but so much? Of course he knows. The point is, come home. Once we go back to his supreme abode, we don't have these same problems. These same problems seem like nothing more than a bad dream. Let's wake up. Let's wake up and think to ourselves, ooh, I never want to do that again. You ever wake up from a dream, you're like, oh, I'm so glad that was not reality. Let's wake up. We've been doing this for lifetimes. Let's finally wake up and then think, oh, I'm so glad that is not my reality. I'm home. And yet, there are souls who will willingly come back to this place. Not for themselves, but for us. Do we really think Jesus had to come here for himself? He already knew everything. He didn't need me. Well, he didn't need the spiritual enlightenment. And instead, they have such incredible compassion that they'll just keep arriving again and again in various different places at various different times because they understand we need it. If someone told you, I really need you to go into the sewers and like sift through all the gunk that's in the sewers, really save some plants and the algae and things. You're like, what? Why? What? Why? Why? It seems so insignificant. These compassionate souls, this place, we know it's not fun. And it is not fun or easy on these spiritual beings either. There's illness, there's birth, death, old age. Again, the disease. And then if that doesn't get you, the birth, death, old age, and disease, then the persecution will. Can we imagine? We are often so stuck on God. Why would you do this to me? And why would you put me? I'm sorry. Were you crucified this day? No? Nobody whipped you for hours on? No? Nobody did that? Who is this place easy for? And the trick of the mind is to say, of course, it's easy for those people over there because they're rich and they've got all this stuff, and look at how they're thriving, and look at what's happening. It's not easy. Trust me. Because all the things that we think they have, people still cry themselves to sleep at night. We see the people that we think have everything, and then they can't take this material world any longer. And so many of them end their lives. Then we become philosophers at home, Then we do the other thing. Oh, well, if they just had this philosophy or that philosophy, because money doesn't buy you happiness, I'm like, well, let's be real with ourselves, because 5 seconds ago, we were just like, oh, but they had everything. One of the things that often I get hit with is people will come and tell me, like, you look like you've got it all together. What could be difficult about your life? Like, the same thing that's difficult about everybody else's life. Everyone has something difficult about their lives. No one has it all together. Not even spiritual people. Because it's the material world. No one can have it all together. It's the thing. And, the spiritual people will be the first to tell you, we don't have it all together. And then they say, but don't focus on that. Let's just focus on, we can all get back home. We can all make it back home. And then we say, oh, wow, what a profound message. But not those people, right? They can't make it back home. It's just like me and my people, right? And we're like, how do we get so sidetracked? Focus. Focus. Who cares about whether those people make it home first or we make it home first? Who cares? There was a quote, and many of the boys will say, Krishna's friends, they'll say, I will be the first to touch Krishna. I'm going to go run and touch him. And then they have a transcendental competition. I will run. And then they all get there and they say, Krishna, who is first? And Krishna says something which is astounding. Krishna smiles lovingly at his friends and he says, oh, my friends, it does not matter which of you is first. I'm just so happy that you all are here now. Come, let us all have lunch together. This is how I think about us and religions and who's getting to God first and when is where, who, what. Imagine We are, as living entities, we tend to be elitists, you know? So it's like, well, my path to God is fastest and the best. And when we get there, Krishna will say, "Oh, my friends, it does not matter which of you was first. I'm simply happy that you're here now. Come, let us have lunch." Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe all that matters is that we get there. Let's just get there. Let's hold hands and run as fast as we can. This is us. We are those little friends. I will go and get Krishna first. No, I will. No, you can't even go. You don't even know where he is. You call Krishna something different, so how could you possibly get there? Doesn't matter. And all of these spiritual people are coming to this God-forsaken place, literally, and they're telling us, just go home. They're all saying the same thing, just go home. It is from that supreme being that we have all come, and it is to that supreme being that we will all return. It's the essence of every single religion. Let's focus on that. Instead of like, well, but like, you can't possibly get home doing that, can you? Yeah, you can. Well, you can't get home because you weren't perfect. Yeah, they can. Well, you can't get home because you made this mistake and this mistake, and yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Well, how's that fair? Just focus on yourself. I want to have so much to focus on with me that I just don't have the time or the energy to analyze somebody else's spirituality. I want to have, I have my hands full with what I'm doing. I'm just trying, scraping by, you know? I need to focus on how dirty the mirror of my heart is. And I think I have more than enough to focus on with that. And then sometimes we'll get glimpses of how wonderful it could be. We'll have little glimpses of memories. Oh, my Krishna. Oh, my Lord God. Oh, Most High Supreme Person. I remember how good it must have been. I want to be so focused on that. That is what will make me spread the message that guess what's waiting for all of us. I don't want to be so focused on hell anymore. Also because it's completely unnecessary. Some people might say, what do you mean completely unnecessary? Well, I want to describe some glories that I have never described before. Some Janmashtami glories that is the first time I'll speak about them. Usually on this podcast, I'm like, well, you know, I've said it before. I mean, this will be the first time. So we all get to experience this together. I'm going to talk about the glories of observing a Janmashtami Vrat. What is a Vrat? A Vrat is like a spiritual vow. Sometimes these vows go for one day. We have an Ekadashi Vrat, right? We take this sankalpa, this intention, this promise on spiritualized days. A lot of it has to do with fasting, different things. An Ekadashi Vrat can be simple or complex. Same thing with a Janmashtami Vrat. A Janmashtami Vrat, or the observing the appearance day of Sri Krishna, can be simple or elaborate, somewhere in the middle. It can involve fasting. So some people, according to your ability, according to your age, according to your health, according to what phase of life you are in, right? So what I mean by what phase of life you are in, these the limit of the vrat you will take can change even depending upon if you're pregnant, if you're a nursing mother, if you are a new mother, if you're an old mother, whatever the case is. So these vrats can change. However, one thing that is in common is that people take the vrat, observe the promise, right? And so a Janmashtami vrat can look a little bit like people will fast all day. Sometimes people fast from everything. No water, no nothing, up until midnight. Because that is when Shri Krishna made his appearance. On a Wednesday. Which, for me, in New York, we're celebrating it on a Wednesday. But, yeah, amazingly, did you know that Krishna took birth on a Wednesday? Somebody was recently asking me, because I often talk about Mondays as the day of Lord Shiva. And they're like, well, which day is for Lord Krishna? I was like, Wednesdays. And Wednesdays is also governed by the planet Mercury. But as we can see, Mercury governs communication, wit, this like fast-moving mind. And Krishna is very much known for his communication, his wit, his humor, his analytical mind, his way of... Sometimes they're like, Krishna's a schemer. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I like the way you said that, but kind of. Yeah, you're right. And I really do love that my Lord is a schemer, because sometimes I'm like, can you do some scheming for me? I want him to break the rules. I want him to find the loopholes. I want him to find the ways in and around and through all of my karma. So some people will fast all day, and then at midnight, they will end or complete their fast with some fruits, milk, basically non-grain food. And some people think that this is just because you're eating late at night, but really this fasting and then breaking with non-grain shows the level of respect you have for the personality that you're honoring. And so I say that to say that many Vaishnavas will observe many fasting days, and they will end their fast with non-grain prasad, because it shows the level of respect that you have for certain personalities. We'll see many spiritualists during Navaratri. They'll do 9 days of Ekadashi, like non-grain prasad, in honor of the goddess Durga. So it depends. And Gaur Govinda Maharaj often makes a very severe point, like this should be understood. If you have this level of respect for the personality that you are worshiping, this is a genuine tapasya, austerity that you are willingly taking on. So sometimes if you are older, if you are very young, if you are pregnant, sometimes it is advised that you do not fast completely. They advise, please drink some water, take some milk, have some fruits throughout the day. You just do the non-grain part. And many of our Puranas state that no matter which vrat you take, either simplified or complex to the max, it's all right. It is okay. It's the intention. And so there were many years where I said to myself, I'm doing so much service, I can't observe a complete fast on Janmashtami. And I would think, I'm going to make sure I eat something. And I was in full health, but I was thinking, to make sure my energy is going, I'm going to make sure I eat something. And then the service would go on throughout the day, and I would realize midnight would come, and I forgot. It just happened. So sometimes you wind up fasting unknowingly. Does the vrat still count? I am pleased to report, yes it does. Still counts. So sometimes people will drink water. Sometimes people will have milk and fruits. Sometimes they do all these things, and the Puranas tell you, it's okay, don't feel bad. Right? You have the intention to observe some kind of vrat, and that is important. The day, whether you eat or not, make sure, try and keep the non-grain. We can do at least that much. And so, for some of us out there that are like, oh my gosh, but what do I do? My energy crashes and I can't maintain, my metabolism is too high. To you, I say peanut butter. If you're allergic to peanuts, try almond butter. If you're allergic to nuts, try sunflower butter. I think that's one. They have apple butter. All those ones, they're like really thick with the protein. Try those, okay? Helps. I can tell you, for sure it helps. I knew a woman, and in Guyana, they do this a lot. They used to make a drink called peanut punch. And it's like peanut butter and milk and a lot of sugar. And it's really sweet and sometimes a little bit like too sweet. You're like, whoa, that was like overwhelmingly. But you don't have to make it that sweet. But peanut punch was so kind of like fortifying because of the peanut butter in it that I could drink one in the morning on an Ekadashi and then not need anything the rest of the day. Like my body would take all day to be like, what are we processing right now? What did we just do? So, the goal is the same. Do what you need to do. Sometimes people say, what if I was strict with my fasting, right? If I was fasting for nothing for so many years and then I had to go back to a simplified version. Okay. People are like, wait, that's it? Yes. Okay. They're like, but wait, what about the reaction? There's none. It's fine. How could there be no reaction? I'm like, do you want there to be a reaction? Like, take the blessing. Allow it to be easy on our hearts. Krishna is saying, like, I just want you to honor me. So along with the fasting, or not fasting, however you do it, we can all do some non-grain fasting that day. Importantly is hearing and chanting about the glories of Shri Krishna. Read Krishna book. Read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Or have your friends read it to you. Or go find the recitation on YouTube. Just go back and listen to some of the other podcasts. Right? We were reading Krishna book. Go back to the beginning and watch those first few episodes. Have somebody else read it to you. I'll do it. I already did it. So find it on YouTube. Listen to the glories of Shri Krishna. Fix your mind upon Shri Krishna. Chant some extra. We can all figure out a way to do that, whether we have deities at home or not. If we have deities at home, dress them. Decorate them. Do what you can. I understand it's in the middle of the week, and so not everybody can have the luxury of saying, this is like my Christmas, I'm taking off work. If you can't, and if you're going to work, no problem. No problem. In your mind, you chant Hare Krishna. In your mind, you think about Krishna. In your mind throughout the day, you think, oh wow, what must Devaki and Vasudeva have been going through at this point of the day? What about Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj? What were they going through at this point of the day? So you just fix your mind on Krishna. Chant, hear, celebrate with your friends, however you can. Find a Zoom group if you need to. Do whatever is necessary. That determination is key to these kinds of vruts, these kinds of vows for spiritual days. So, what I found, the benefits of observing Sri Krishna Janmastami Vrat. Bhavishyatara Purana describes the glories of the Sri Krishna Janmashtami celebrations. It is mentioned that the house where Krishna Janmastami is celebrated will become free from all kinds of scarcity, quarrel, and disputes, and even the death of a life partner. It also says that even if one performs fasting on Sri Krishna Janmastami unknowingly, remember that part? I was like, what if unknowingly? Lord Krishna will fulfill all of one's desires. Then what to speak of one following the vrat with love, devotion, and proper understanding? Lord Krishna certainly becomes pleased with such a devotee and grants residence in his own spiritual planet. Okay, wow. These are things that I never spoke about. And I was thinking, it's just like, I have been observing Janmashtami since I was born. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Since I was born. And I really, 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 really like that my parents gave me the name Achyuta, because I grew up knowing that this is the name of Krishna. And so I can't even think about my own name without thinking about Krishna. And that's the goal, isn't it? The other day, I was on my way to a temple festival, and I was in an Uber, and the driver, who was not an Indian person, just randomly, halfway through the journey, calls back. It was on Balaram Purnima. And the driver calls back. He goes, "Everything okay, Achyuta?" And he said it perfectly, because when I got in the car, he did not say my name perfectly. And I didn't correct him. So now I'm wondering, how in the world did this man get my name right? He's like, "Everything okay, Achyuta?" And I was like, "Yep." And then he says, "Yay, okay, great." And then I was thinking, Krishna, you are so sneaky. What a schemer you are. On an auspicious day like Balaram Purnima, you decided that this person should call out your name. And so I was like, I said a prayer in my heart just at that moment. I was like, Krishna, you bless this Uber driver. Bless him with whatever he needs. Maybe he'll never know that it came from you. Maybe he will. But you bless him anyway. Because how sneaky is our Krishna? How incredibly sneaky is our Lord? He's so awesome. This Uber driver didn't know anything. He didn't know that that was a name of God. It doesn't matter. And when he was asking if everything was okay, and then he was kind of like celebrating that it was, and I was just thinking, I was like, Krishna, that's an offering for you. Had nothing to do with me. That's all for you. Let him be excited that he's even serving you in some small way. It might be indirect, but you still accept it as service. I was just thinking, how incredible is my Krishna? I used to have a coworker, and they were a self-confirmed atheist. And it was because he just hadn't been treated well in spirituality. But when I got to the job, there would be days where he would sit down in his cubicle and he'd go, "Oh, Achyuta." And I'd go, "Yes?" He's like, No, I'm just saying your name because it sounds nice." And I had a picture of my Radha Govinda in that cube, and I always look at them like, y'all are so sneaky. So sneaky. Because it's not me. They're calling out to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they're perfecting their lives by calling out to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How many people this Janmashtami will simply, "Oh, I ran out of the house this morning and I didn't have time to eat," and then they don't eat anything even until noon. They're getting benefit. It's like, wait, even if they don't know about Krishna? Yep. It's like, well, why? Because Krishna's that merciful. It's like, well, what does that mean for my fast? Nothing. Your fast is still wonderful. You do what you do. But, somebody else doesn't have to be less in order for us to be amazing. Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti. He wants, his desire is to be able to relate with every single living entity. So we don't have to lessen somebody else's sacrifice in order to make ours great, because Krishna is always hungry for us uniquely. And I spoke about that last week. Mahatma Prabhu was saying that the relationship that Krishna has with you, the way Krishna has set up living entities, he cannot have that relationship with anybody else, because it is unique to you and Krishna. So even if he does have a wonderful relationship with so many pure devotees, he wants you. There's a little something special you've got. And only you and Krishna know what that is. So even if they fast unknowingly, Krishna fulfills all their desires because our Krishna is so awesome and sneaky. So Brahma Vaivarta Purana says, observing one Janmashtami Vrat can yield the results that are equivalent to observing 200 million Ekadashis. If anybody knows me, y'all know how much I love Ekadashi. One Janmashtami Vrat is equal to observing 200 million Ekadashis. Now imagine if you've been fasting on Ekadashi and you're going to fast on Janmashtami. Friends, you've got it made. You've got it made. Why, right? Now why? Well, Ekadashi is the favorite day of Lord Hari, Sri Krishna. And Ekadashi Devi says, well, this is my appearance day. And so I want to bless people on my appearance day. If you observe a vrat or a vow on my appearance day. So then, how much more merciful can Krishna be on his appearance day? He's saying, I'm so merciful. It's like wholesale. If you just fast on my day, I'm so much more merciful. I'm so happy, so excited. And don't we want to just make Krishna smile? I feel like that's the point of this whole podcast. It's a podcast here to help us see through spiritual texts and make Krishna smile. I might just shorten it. It's a podcast to make Krishna smile. It's going to become the new tagline for See Through. See Through, a podcast to make Krishna smile. Ooh, I'm doing it. Doing it. This makes Krishna so happy, just getting together and speaking about him, fixing our minds on him. He's been waiting for this for so long. How many times does he have to tell us, I was waiting, I'm running after you, I was waiting. Skanda Purana says, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, resides in the house where Janmashtami Vrat is performed by the person by involving all near and dear ones. Such people are considered the best of civilized beings. So, you wanted wealth, you observe this Janmashtami Vrat with your near and dear ones. Skanda Purana also promises that all the attempts to achieve their success and the remembrance of Lord Krishna is guaranteed at the time of death for the person who performs the Janmashtami Vrat. Well, isn't that something we're all concerned about? Like, oh, I'm supposed to remember Krishna at the time of death, but how can I do that? Skanda Purana promises, if you observe this Janmashtami Vrat, it's taken care of. Don't worry about it. It's taken care of. No matter how elaborate or simple your vrat is, no matter how complex, no matter how much or how little, the intention, make the intention to perform some kind of vow of austerity on that day. Just some kind. And Skanda Purana is assuring you, you will remember Krishna. You will achieve success in all your endeavors. Can we believe it? Right? We go back to the beginning of this podcast. If we believe it, then we act on it. Right? So since we believe in gravity, we act on that every day. Right? This is the symptom of somebody who really believes something. They act on it. Because none of us are like, I don't believe this. Let me go jump out the window. We would find out very quickly whether or not it was working. So if we believe, then we'll act on it. So we can wake up in the morning early on Janmashtami, as early as you can. And we can chant prayers to our spiritual teachers, either in English or in another language, depending upon what you know. We can concentrate even on a picture of Sri Krishna. Some of us might not have deities. Also okay. We can concentrate on the picture of Sri Krishna. We can chant Hare Krishna. Do you know there will be loads of YouTube darshans from around the world showing you what different deities look like? I love festival days because on festival days, I spend a lot of time on social media, but not for the reason that you might think. You know why? Because I want to see, what does everybody look like? You know, what are they wearing in Vrindavan? Okay, what about Mayapur? Okay, what about this place? Okay, what about that place? I really love Nrsimha Chaturdashi on social media. Everybody's dressing up their various deities like Lord Nrsimhadev, and everybody's got funny manes, you know, and everybody's got lion masks and faces, and it's such a fun celebration just to look at all around the world. I get to travel all around the world that day, and I don't leave my home. I mean, maybe in the evening I'll go leave my home, but what I mean is I don't have to leave my home to travel. I get to get darshan from everywhere. And then sometimes I repost my favorites. Sometimes I don't have time to. I get to dress my own deities and get ideas about, ooh, well, that was a nice decoration. This year I was looking at other people's decorations in previous years and thinking, what can I buy off of Amazon to make it look festive? Think about it. Get excited. Krishna's appearance day is coming. It's birthday boy. And what a birthday boy he is. He is such a big birthday boy. He's big celebrations. He enjoys them. Is what he wants. So one of the most important things is to hear and chant the glories of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has given us so much. We have been together, like I said, so much. You can go back and listen to the other YouTube videos. Just go about your day. Have them playing in the background. And on the day of Janmashtami, we can start with a verse. And basically this verse means, only for the sake of pleasing the Lord, begging for his love, and to cleanse all sinful reactions, I am undertaking this fast on the day of Janmashtami. Now I'm going to see if I can get this to like copy paste. I can't make any promises, so I might have to paste it after, but we'll see. It worked. I mean, it would work on YouTube, except for they have a limit to how long my comment can be. So I put it in 2 sections. Okay, so now all of you should have the verse. Yes? Perfect. If you are wonderful at Sanskrit, go for it. If not, the English is fine. And like I said, you can do a complete fast. You can do water only. You can do fruits and milk. You can do just the non-grains. You do whatever you need to do. But do a little bit. And it's okay. Krishna's understanding. If he's so understanding with people who don't even know, but they still fast, imagine how understanding he is with you who is fasting, with love in the heart. Just have love in the heart. One other thing you can do is you can decorate the entrance and the walkways to your home or even the temple with little footprints. You can do them in chalk. You can do them in rice powder. You can do them in so many different other things. But little footprints, symbolizing that Sri Krishna is entering the premises. That's a decoration that I really think is adorable and I really love, because cute little footprints. You can outline the footprints with little, you know, they have those electric little candles, little tea lights. You can put those there because that's not a fire hazard. If you're able, you can put little diyas or actual ghee lamps there. The electric ones are fine too. You can just put rose petals outlining the path so that nobody steps on the footprints. But it just goes to show, it just reminds you that Shri Krishna is entering. Shri Krishna is coming. Such a cute thing to do on the outside of temples. One year they did do that in New York at the temple, at the Bhakti Center, and it was adorable. And I really hope they do it again because it's so cute. It is so cute. You imagine these tiny little footprints and they're going upstairs, you know, and heading to the temple room. And they're outlined with little flower petals because little baby Krishna is coming. So adorable. And so those things just help to fix our mind on what this day is supposed to be about. You can feed Krishna. You can feed your picture. You can dress your deities. But the biggest thing is just to remember Krishna with love in your heart. Whether you can do it elaborately or not, whether you have to work or not, whether you are at home or not, just remember Krishna. And I guarantee you that constant remembrance of Krishna will somehow get others to remember Krishna. Even if it's just an Uber driver asking you if everything's okay, but somehow pronouncing your name perfectly, especially when that name happens to be one of Krishna's. Sometimes, there's Achyuta, the name of Krishna, and then there's a word Achyuta which sounds completely similarly, which also means untouchable. It's like untouchable, disgusting, unwanted. And so many people are like, why would your parents name you that? And I'm like, they didn't. They named me after Krishna. And then the people want to go, no, Krishna doesn't have that name. I'm like, he sure does. It's there. They have a whole Achyutastakam. I don't know what to tell you. It's there. Promise. And somehow it happens to be Achyuta is one of the lesser but more known but lesser known names. Very interesting. But for the people who get it, like even that Uber driver, he gets so much full benefit, so much benefit, so much incredible benefit. You benefit people just by being a devotee. And it's like, but what do I do if I don't like feel comfortable going out and preaching? You don't have to. Just be. Just go be you. Do you. Be yourself. And sometimes go be you on the way to somewhere with tilak. There are so many innumerable benefits that come from being a devotee, wearing tilak, and then people see you. Just go be you. It's as simple as that. Krishna wants to bless us. Right? Krishna is not a person that's just looking to find the next wrong thing with you. Krishna is always looking to find the next right thing. What can I use to encourage my devotees? What can I use to benefit them? I'll give them anything. Anything. Krishna fulfills all the desires of someone who fasts, even unknowingly. He'll fulfill all your desires too. And then some people say, but I've been praying for so long and he didn't. Right. Remember at the beginning of the lecture when I said we have to have the determination and then the patience and then the fortitude. We can remember Vasudeva and Devaki. Patience and fortitude. They had to wait through so many years. You think they weren't thinking like, where is God? I'm like, well, they said the eighth son. We're holding out hope just for that. Krishna didn't let them down. But after he appeared as the eighth son, they were still in jail. Still in jail. Krishna went to Vrindavan for a little over 11 years. Not only were they in jail before the birth of Krishna, they had to stay in jail 11 years. What? Like, if it was us, and we're like, Lord, I'm praying for the end of this miserable condition. And then Krishna says, look, here's your miracle. I am personally in your life. And we say, oh my gosh, yay. And he's like, okay, now I'm going to go and you're not going to see me again. I'm like, wait, what? And then you're still going to be in this uncomfortable situation for 11 years. Friends, like I said, we would have given up. We would have given up. The birth story of Krishna should give us hope that, okay, I am seeing a little bit of the bigger picture. And as I'm waiting on Krishna's miracles, sometimes things are a little bit uncomfortable. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, Devaki cried. That's not a bad thing. Yes, sometimes the tears happen. But don't give up. Don't give up on Krishna. Hold out that hope. that Krishna can and will make it better. Sometimes it's not right away. Sometimes even though it seems like, oh my gosh, it seemed like he was going to make it better. And then now I have more waiting, more discomfort. Sometimes. It's the mark of this material world. But Krishna is not trying to break your spirit. He's trying to boost your spirit. The material world's trying to break your spirit. Because Maya Devi knows, if you won't surrender willingly, well then I'll have to use force. And so she uses force. She's very good at her job. We can have faith. Krishna is not trying to break your spirit. Don't give up on Krishna. We don't have the alternative to give up on Krishna. So those are some of the benefits of observing a Janmashtami Vrat. Now, I can end this podcast here. Maybe come back another day with some of the mysteries of Shri Krishna's birth. Or, if you have a few more minutes, I can read it now. I'm kind of partial to reading it now. Because who knows when I'll come back. And it just seems like, it's already before the date. We should know these things before the day happens, don't you think? Okay, I'll read it now. You've convinced me. So this is coming from Mathura Meets Vrindavan, which is a book compiling so many of the instructions and messages from Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And he speaks about Sri Krishna's appearance. You can get this book on Kindle, on Amazon. I think it might also be available on print and Amazon, but I have it on Kindle. I had it on print before, but I have it on Kindle, which is nice because I get to carry it anywhere in the world with me. So that's fun. And so there's a whole chapter on Sri Krishna's appearance. And within that, we hear from Gaur Govinda Maharaj. In the first 3 chapters of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of the appearance of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Krishna's appearance is also described in the Harivansha and in Sri Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu. Hearing the transcendental pastimes of Krishna is all auspicious. The Bhagavatam describes Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyanta Sto Hyapadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead who is the Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Why Krishna comes? The Bhagavat says that hearing the transcendental Leela Kahani, narrations of the pastimes of Bhagavan Krishna, is all auspicious. If you hear with full faith and concentrated attention, all of the material contamination in your heart will be purified. For this reason, Bhagavan Shri Krishna descends here. Krishna's eternal abode in the spiritual sky is known as Satchid Anandamaya Dham, a Dham that is Sanmaya, Chinmaya, and Anandamaya, full of eternality, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. He is always there, engaged, completely absorbed in transcendental Leela, especially Ras Leela. Why should he come to this material world? It is not his abode. It is the antithesis of his transcendental Satchidanandamaya Dham. This material world is Asat, Achit, and Niranandamaya. It is temporary and full of ignorance and misery. Why should Krishna come here? What business does he have to conduct here? He comes because he is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, the only well-wishing friend of all living entities. In modern terms, our supreme bestie. From time immemorial, you have forgotten Krishna and have been under the clutches of Maya, but Krishna has not forgotten you. He is your well-wishing friend. He always runs behind you. He never deserts you. He is there in your heart as Paramatma. He also descends in many incarnations to this material world along with his Dham and his associates, and he manifests transcendental pastimes. One purpose for his coming is so that his Lila Kahanis, his spiritual pastimes, will be recorded in books. Then his dear devotees, the sadhus, Vaishnavas, Mahajans, will come. They will preach, recite, and speak these pastimes. Krishna's pastimes should be heard, deliberated, and meditated upon. Thereby, you will get peace and bliss. Your heart will be cleansed, and then you will be able to understand your constitutional position. Krishna is your eternal master, and your constitutional position is as his eternal servant. Krishna therefore descends here out of Kridartha for the purpose of enjoying playful pastimes with his dear devotees, to relish his lila ras, the mellow of transcendental lila. Simultaneously, he also gives you an opportunity to relish these pastimes. Moreover, he comes here for sadhu samrakshana, to protect his devotees. These are the purposes of Krishna's coming to the material world. Gopal Champu describes that in the assembly of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, there were two poets named Snigdhakanta and Madhukanta, who daily sang songs. One day, they started singing this story of how Nandaraj got a son. So this is also after, right? They would have these poets come in and they would sing. And so one day they started singing, one day Nandaraj got a son. Let's hear. With the aim of obtaining a son, Nandaraj performed many sacrifices, but still no son was born. The residents of Brajbhumi, who were all his friends, also took up a vow and offered worship so that Nanda Maharaj could have a son. Still no son was coming. So how many times have we prayed for something and we think, well, it's not here? And then we give up. Let's see what Nanda Maharaj and Yashodarani do. Yashamati, Yashoda, the wife of Nanda Maharaj, became very distressed. She gave up eating and was always sitting, hanging her head down and shedding tears. So remember that I said sometimes, while waiting, the disappointment sets in. The tears are okay. It's natural. Seeing the condition of his wife, Nanda Maharaj became very distressed and consoled her in various ways, saying, "Whatever is the will of Providence, that will take place." His wife, Yashoda Mata, said, "My dear husband, I will tell what I have thought of in my heart. I have performed many sacrifices and have taken up many vows, but I have not performed the Dwadashi Paramvrat." Hearing this, Nanda Maharaj became very happy and said, "Yes, very good. We have not performed this vrat, so we must do it." Nanda Maharaj called his priest. The priest described everything to him about the process, procedures, rules, and regulations to perform this Dwadashi vrat. Nanda Maharaj and Yashamati Rani observed that vrat for 1 year. At the end of the vrat, Nanda Maharaj had a dream. Lord Hari appeared and, being very pleased with him, said, "Your desire will soon be fulfilled. In every kalpa, or in every age, I come as your son, and in this kalpa, I will also come as your son. I will manifest my babyhood lila in your home. Every day you will see my pastimes, and you will be very happy." Then Nanda Maharaj's sleep broke. It was morning and birds were chirping. He decided to take bath in the Jamuna along with his wife Yashamati, and he took much wealth with him to give in charity. All of the demigods, munis, and rishis came in the guise of beggars to receive charity from Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj and Yashamati completed their bath and then started giving charity. Everyone became pleased to receive charity from Nanda Maharaj. They all loudly shouted, "Nanda Maharaj ki jai!" and "Yashamati Rani ki jai!" Then Nanda Maharaj returned home and offered worship to Bhagavan Vishnu. After finishing his daily activities, he came to his assembly and offered respect to worshipable personalities such as his gurus and the brahmanas. Snigdhakanta's narration continued. Just then, the gatekeeper came and informed Nanda Maharaj that a brahmacharini had come. Hearing this, he stood up and welcomed her, offering her a nice seat. Nanda Maharaj washed her feet and worshipped her. Yashomati began crying at the feet of that brahmacharini tapasvi, this woman ascetic. This woman ascetic took Yashoda Mata onto her lap and putting her hand on Yashoda's head blessed her, saying, "My dear queen, very soon a nice son will come and take birth." Hearing this, all of the cowherd men and women said, "Nandarani ki jai." It's another name for Yashoda. When Nanda Maharaj's brother Upananda heard the news, he became very joyful and said, "This Gokul forest will be a great place of pilgrimage." Hearing the Brahmacharini's prophecy, all of the inhabitants of Brajabhumi became very joyful. They all came and offered Dandavat pranams at the feet of that yogini Brahmacharini. They built a cottage for her and she stayed there. Many sources state that this Brahmacharini was Purnamasi Devi. So Purnamasi is director of Shri Krishna's pastime. So this is when she appeared in Braj. She came before even Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were even pregnant with Shri Krishna. And she blessed them. "You will have a very nice son." And then they said, "Well, please stay and live here." "Yes, I will live here." She arrives with 2 children, Madhumangal and Nandimukhi. And this Brahmacharini, Purnamasi, who is the Yoga Maya potency of Shri Krishna, and she is the director and arranger of so many pastimes. She's also the mother of Sandipani Muni, who becomes the teacher of Shri Krishna and Balaram in due course of time. But she is a great yogini, so powerful. She knows everything. Even Krishna goes to her many times and says, "Oh, Purnamasi Devi, can you please help me?" He wants to perform some pastime or other. "Can you help me?" One of the first things that Krishna does in the morning, just every morning, is he greets Purnamasi Devi with all respect. How incredible is this Purnamasi? It is said that if you pray to her, she will grant you residence in Sri Vrindavan Dham and Goloka Vrindavan in Krishna's very own supreme abode. And so just as Sri Krishna did, sometimes it is beneficial for us when we wake up in the morning just to pay our obeisances. "O Purnamasi Devi, O director of Krishna's pastimes, my obeisances and respects to you." That's it. It's that simple. When we wake up in the morning, just like Sri Krishna, we can pay our respects. Who knows what pastime Krishna will be having with us that day? Let's continue. Yashoda's pregnancy. Snigdakanta said, "My dear brother Madhukanta, now tell how Krishna came to the womb of Yashoda Mata." Madhukanta then spoke about this confidential truth. So for 1 year, Nanda and his wife observed Dwadashi Vrat. Then, on the night of the Krishna Pratipat, the first day of the dark fortnight of the month of Magh. So this is like January, February, okay? Nanda Maharaj had a dream. He saw a baby child with a blue complexion moving in the sky. And then he saw a girl with a golden-hued bodily complexion. The 2 of them, the boy and the girl, entered into Nanda Maharaj's heart. Then they came out of the heart of Nanda Maharaj and entered into the womb of Yashoda Mata. It is in this way Yashoda Mata became pregnant. So, on Krishna Pratipat, the first day of the dark fortnight of the month of Magh. This is why Srila Prabhupada says every day is a festival. We could be celebrating every day. Can you imagine? That first day of the month of Magh, we're all saying, "Oh, this is the day that Krishna was conceived. He entered into the womb of Yashoda Mata." Everybody celebrate. It's such a random day. But we could celebrate. We should be celebrating. Why not? How incredible. In this way, Yashoda Mata became pregnant. Hearing this news, all of the gopas and gopis became very blissful and happy. Every day, they had grand festivals on account of Yashoda's pregnancy. Every day, for months. Nanda Maharaj gave much charity to the Brahmins and Vaishnavas. Many persons were coming and going to Nanda's house. Who all of those persons were, no one could say. Among them, some demigoddesses were also coming. So we're thinking, right? If she conceived, right, and two babies, right? Two babies. There's a mystery. Two babies. That blue-hued boy and a golden girl. Because, right, what we're thinking is, didn't all the TV shows and all of the comic books tell me that Krishna was born to Vasudeva and Devaki, and then Vasudeva takes the baby across the river, does the whole thing, and Yashoda Rani has a girl? But now Gopal Champu is telling us that there was a boy and a girl. There were twins. Say what? It's mystery. It's mystery. We're gonna see. So, but right, if he was conceived in January, February, but born in August, September, how many months is that? Like, anybody who knows anything about like gestational periods of humans, how long is a baby normally in the womb? 9 months. Actually, it's 10. That's the part they don't tell you until after you're pregnant. It's like 9 months. Everybody knows. They taught me since I was like, nope. It's 9 full months, closer to 10. You're like, why did they hide this from me? So, about 10 months should take. But from January, February to August, September is only 8 months. Let's see. After 8 months of pregnancy, an astrologer told them, on the 8th day of the dark fortnight of this month of Bhadra, the child will take birth on a most auspicious tithi, date. When this Bhadra Krishnastami, the 8th day of the dark fortnight of the month of Bhadra came, the nurse said, the child will be born today. Immediately a maternity home was prepared and decorated nicely. Flower garlands were hung all over. Gates were also made out of various flowers. So please, put up flower curtains and flower garlands, do whatever you can. Expert nurses came to take care of the mother and child. In the heavenly planets, all of the demigods became very joyful. Indradev was showering rain. I've experienced. On that day, everyone was drowning in an ocean of happiness, for the Supreme Lord was about to take birth. All of the gopis stayed awake that night. But due to the influence of Krishna's Yoga Maya, his illusory energy, they all fell asleep. When the child took birth, everyone was sleeping. Even Yashoda Mata was asleep. There was no pain in the delivery at all. Without any pain, Yashoda Mata gave birth to Krishna, the Supreme Personality. That child was Putra Ratna, a son like an invaluable gem. She also gave birth to the daughter, so twins. Exactly at the same time when Yashoda Mata gave birth to Krishna and Vrindavan, in Mathura, in the prison house of Kamsa, Devaki also gave birth to a child. That is described in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Lord Hari appeared in Mathura in a four-handed form. He had a crown on his head, and with his 4 hands he was holding a shankh, chakra, gada, and padma, a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus. Kanaka Kundala Karna, on his 2 ears there were golden earrings, and a bright effulgence was coming out of his body. Although it was a dark and cloudy night, by the influence coming from the body of Lord Hari, everything was illuminated. Seeing this wonderful child, Devaki paid obeisances with folded hands and offered prayers. Vasudeva immediately took bath. How could he take bath in the prison house? He did so by meditation within his mind, Manasa Snan. Also in his mind, he observed a great festival for the birthday of Lord Hari and gave away innumerable cows in charity to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Like Devaki, he also offered prayers to Lord Narayan. Then Narayan told him, immediately take me to Braj Gokul and put me on the lap of Yashoda Mata. Hearing this, Vasudeva was very, very happy. By the wonderful will of Lord Hari, those who were guarding the prison all fell asleep. All of the strong iron doors and shackles opened, and Vasudeva was free to leave. Exactly at the same time when Vasudeva was leaving the prison of Kamsa, Yashoda Mata gave birth to a second child, a daughter. When Vasudev came to the bank of the Jamuna, he saw there was a great flood. The water was very high, and all of the land was inundated. He thought, how can I cross? Just then, Vasudev saw Mahamaya, this illusory potency of Krishna, in the form of a she-jackal crossing the Jamuna. So Vasudev followed her. Finally, he came to the quarters of Nanda Maharaj. There he put his son on the lap of Yashoda Mata and took Yashoda's daughter with him. Hearing this, Snigdakanta said, "What is this? Yashoda Mata gave birth to one son and one daughter, and Vasudev took the daughter? What happened to the son?" Good question, right? These are pertinent questions. Madhukanta said, "This is a very confidential matter. Mysteries. Yashoda Mata's daughter was Sakshat Yogamaya. By her potency, Yogamaya kept the son of Nanda hidden, and Vasudev could not see him. He only saw the daughter. The son of Nanda and Yashoda is Swayam Bhagavan, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ete chamsa kala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Nanda Nandana Krishna, Yashoda Nandana Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, and all avatars are his plenary portions or portions of his plenary portions, Angsha and Kala. From the womb of Devaki came the four-handed form Vasudev, who is Prabhava Prakash of Krishna. Krishna has two types of expansions, Prabhava Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. In the temporary category of Prabhav come the incarnations Mohini, Hamsa, and Shukla. In the eternal category, so temporary means they come, sometimes for a few minutes. That's it. Eternal is the category they come Dhanvantari, Rishabh, Vyas, Dattatreya, Kapila, etc. The Vaibhav Prakash are partially powerful. When Swayam Bhagavan Krishna comes, all of his portions and portions of portions, Angsha and Kala, all come with him. The son of Vasudev is Vasudev, right? So Vasudev, short A, comes Vasudev, long a four-handed form of the Lord. Vasudev is a plenary portion of Krishna. So when Vasudev put his son on the lap of Yashoda, that Vasudev entered into the child Krishna who was already lying there. Okay, I'm going to make this really simple, right? We have Vishnu potency Krishna. He's actually the one who kills demons. Because Vrindavan potency Krishna, the original Krishna, has nothing to do with demons. Right? He doesn't care. He doesn't even kill demons. Braj Krishna does not kill any demons. I know you're sitting there going, what? How is this? It's the Vishnu potency Krishna who kills demons, right? So he can separate his potencies how he wishes. So what does Braj Krishna do? His only function is to have wonderful pastimes and relationships with his devotees. That's all I want. I only want my friends. I'm not concerned with these demons. That's for Vishnu potency Krishna. So the Vishnu potency Krishna was born to Devaki and Vasudev. They carry this. Vasudev is covered over by Yogamaya's potency. He only sees the girl. That Vishnu potency Krishna merges into the body of Braj Krishna. So that's how Vasudev says, I put the child down, left him there. And then he picks up this daughter, takes her back with him to Mathura and to the jail cell. So this is why it is often seen that Durga Devi and Shri Krishna are siblings. Fraternal twins. Sibling day. And for a long time, my sister and I were looking for the appearance day of Lady Subhadra. Anybody who has Jagannath Tiris, we have Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And we were wondering, we celebrate Balaram Purnima, we celebrate Janmashtami. When is Lady Subhadra's birthday? And we searched. Finally, in a lecture, Gaur Govinda Maharaj states, in Puri, it's celebrated on Janmashtami. She's the twin. And at that moment, I was like, duh. Yeah, of course she is. When Vasudev brings this girl child back, she scares Kamsa with the fear of God. And then she goes to the Vindhya hills for some time, and then she reappears after Vasudeva and Devaki get out of the prison. She's like, I don't need to live there, it's fine. She goes to the Vindhya hills, lives there for some time. She even expands herself, defeats demons, Katyayani Mata, does all kinds of things in the Vindhya hills. She's known as Vindhya Vilasini. She lives over there, Vindhyachala. And so then she makes a reappearance when the time is right. Now it's good. And she comes and she is Subhadra. And so in Puri, they celebrate on Janmashtami. It's both birthdays, Shri Krishna and Subhadra Devi. So if you have Jagannath deities where you are, tell her happy birthday also. She doesn't mind. She's like, oh, it's all about him. But really, tell her happy birthday also. Happy birthday to you too. So sweet. It was one of my most favorite things to find out. It makes Krishna's family that much sweeter. It makes these mysteries so wonderful. It makes me remember them. They stay in my heart. So just as all rivers flow down to enter into the ocean, similarly, all the plenary portions and portions of the plenary portions of the Lord all come and enter into the original Lord. By the activity of Yoga Maya, Vasudeva could not understand any of these things because Krishna wants his pastimes. In the Harivamsha, it is described how Lord Hari simultaneously took birth in two places. In the 8th month of pregnancy, which is considered asampurna, incomplete, Yashoda and Devaki both gave birth at the same time. Just after that, Yashoda gave birth to a daughter, Yogamaya. Mahamaya is a portion of Yogamaya, and she was thus also there. Vasudeva took away this Mahamaya and handed her over to Kamsa, while Yogamaya stayed hidden in Brajbhumi. In this way, it was declared that the 8th child was a daughter, not a son, and Kamsa was cheated. Madhukanta then said, when Yashoda Mata gave birth to Krishna, all were asleep. Everyone slept through the whole night. Then in the morning, Lord Krishna started crying, quack, quack, quack. It literally says that, quack. Everyone woke up. Yashodamati also woke and saw her nice son. Seeing her wonderful, very beautiful son, Mother Yashoda completely drowned in the ocean of blissfulness. She couldn't think what to do. She was shedding tears of bliss and love. Really, Gopal Champu says she couldn't even think what to do. People had to come and tell her, maybe you should nurse the child. Because she was so caught up in looking at him that she couldn't think of anything. She was shedding tears of bliss and love. From her breast, milk was flowing. The newborn child was there in her lap, and Yashoda was very blissfully looking at him. Yashoda Mata's voice was faltering in joy. She could not speak anything and was simply shedding tears of love. Up until that day, she had only looked at the sons of others. Today, she was looking at her own son. Tears poured from her eyes and milk flowed from her breasts. Her whole sari became completely soaked. Again and again, Yashoda Mata looked at the beautiful lotus-like, moon-like face of her son. All the nurses, gopas, and gopis awoke, hearing the crying sound of the newborn child. Everyone came and said, oh, it is not a daughter, it is a son. Yashoda has given birth to a son. Everyone was very happy and blissful. It was as if all of Gokul, Brajbhumi, had drowned in an ocean of blissfulness. All the gopas and gopis came running to Nanda Maharaja's quarters to see Yashoda's newly born son. The demigods were dancing in the heavenly planets, beating drums and singing Hari Hari, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The 14 planetary systems resounded with the sounds of Hari Bolo. In the heavenly planets, the Devanadis, the wives of the demigods, were showering flowers. All of the gopas and gopis were dancing blissfully, embracing one another with love and affection. They were all drowning in an ocean of happiness. Immediately, Nanda Maharaj took bath, and according to Vedic rites, he performed the Jatakarma Sanskar, the purificatory ceremony for childbirth. Brahmins came and uttered the Swasti Vachan, prayers for auspiciousness. Many musicians came playing varieties of musical instruments. The sound of drums, kettle drums, and other musical instruments resounded throughout all of the 3 planetary systems. The 3 planetary systems were completely filled with supreme happiness. Mahananda, Prithvi Devi, Mother Earth had been very, very distressed and overburdened by the Asuras or demons. Now the demons were to be killed, and Prithvi Devi would be relieved of her heavy burden. All of the sadhus, Vaishnavas, and Dvijas, Brahmanas were very happy. When Nanda Maharaj came, all the Gopas and Gopis said, "Nanda, come and see your beautiful son. It is as if innumerable moons have arisen in your house. O Nanda Maharaj, you have achieved perfection in this birth after a long time. Many long years have gone past. Come and see the beautiful lotus-like face of your son." Sometimes many long years will come before we see our miracle. But we will see a miracle. It will happen. The news spread throughout Gokul Brajbhumi. All of the cowherd men and cowherd women came running to Nanda's quarters. All the cowherd men had sticks in their hands, and on their shoulders they were carrying sticks with bags on both ends. As they were coming, they were dancing and dancing. Everyone was saying, "Oh Nanda, such excellent good fortune you have. Ah, today there is an ocean of bliss in your house. Nanda ke ananda bayo jai kanaya lal ki." Seeing the beautiful lotus-like face of his son, Nanda Maharaj was blissfully dancing. In all directions, all the cowherd men and inhabitants of Gokul were also clapping their hands and blissfully dancing. So on Janmashtami, we should be blissfully dancing and clapping with joy. Krishna is coming. Krishna is coming. He's entering into our lives. In the heavenly planets, the demigods were dancing. In the nether planet Patala, the snakes were dancing. In the inner quarters, Yashodarani was dancing. Shiva was dancing. Brahma was dancing. And Indra was dancing. Everyone was dancing and full of bliss. All of the cowherd men came bringing presentations of yogurt, turmeric, and gorochan, a kind of auspicious yellow pigment. Nandarani, the wife of Nanda Maharaj, has acquired all good fortune and auspiciousness. For today, she has obtained Nilamani, the blue gem Shri Krishna, as her child. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Titi Mahamahotsav ki jai. Bhadra Krishnastami Titi ki jai. Bhagavan Shri Krishna Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Brajendra Nandana Krishna Shri Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Shri Nanda Nandana Yashoda Nandana Krishna ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. So thank you all for bearing with me. I hope you all have a wonderful week of celebrations. Just keep celebrating, keep going. Celebrate all the way through to the end of the week. Go for it. I am so excited for all of the miracles that are about to come into all of your lives. I'm so excited for all of us to take the most full advantage of this Janmashtami Vrat and obtain all of the promises that these beautiful scriptures have said we will attain. They have assured us. It is guaranteed. Thank you all for being here with me. Thank you for starting me off right for my Janmashtami celebrations. Today happens to be my dad's birthday. So everyone say a prayer for my dear dad, Adidev Prabhu. Basically, a lot of my awesomeness comes from my dad. Okay? And if it didn't come from my dad, then it came from my mom. And if it didn't come from either one of them, it came from all of my siblings. So I'm telling you, say a prayer for my dear dad. He is really awesome and amazing. He has a great sense of direction. He always seems to know where everything is at all times. I don't understand how he has this mystical ability. I'm a grown-up. I'm 38 years old and I still call my dad first. Dad, I need so-and-so. Can you help me fix this? Can you help me do this? Like, Dad, I need to go somewhere. I need directions. Anything. We all know. Call Dad. So it's his birthday and I am so blessed to be part of his family. He's brought me up with a fierceness for Krishna consciousness and a mind to not be afraid to do my own thing when it's necessary. And he's constantly always telling me, Achyuta, You just go do you. You be Krishna conscious. It's like, and don't let anybody hold you back. I was born premature, and so he would come every day that I was in the hospital and sing kirtans to me. Even though he didn't consider himself a singer or a kirtaniya or a kirtan performer, he would just come and sing. And he would come and pray over me every day. And my mom would go and she would be reading scriptural texts and praying over me every day. And so I really tell you, with everything that I am, that anything that I am is because of my parents. So I'm always happy to celebrate my dad's birthday near Janmashtami. Sometimes it falls on Janmashtami. Always super happy about it. So happy birthday, Dad. I hope to lovingly annoy him later. He's really great. He's such the best and such an amazing Papa Bear. So thank you for being with me, and thank you for your prayers in advance. I know that all the best things are awaiting him. So thank you. I'll speak to you sometime later on this week, and I'm wishing you all the best week possible. No matter how you do it, take some time out and just think about Krishna and watch the miracles happen. Please come back next week. I'll see you all soon. Hare Krishna. Thanks for being here.